Good morning. Well, I guess it's about noon now. This is going to be take two. Obviously, I didn't upload my first video. I just made a pretty good little short, and I already watched a couple minutes of it, and the wind was just too much. I mean, I didn't realize the wind had picked up, but it was the speaker on the camera. It wasn't just a lot of background wind noise. So I thought I'd come over to a little calmer area here and upload another short. Had a trip today, got canceled or got deferred, postponed until tomorrow. The two guys I had, apparently there was a miscommunication. I know one of the guys real well, so anyway, we're gonna go tomorrow. So I had already had the boat over and everything, all prepared to go. So I thought I'd come scout a little bit. And I came east of Cedar Key today. I haven't been down here in a little while. Most of all my fishing lately has been to the west and to the north. I always wanted to try it. Today's what, January 5th, maybe? Thursday? Sorry, I'm retired. I lose track of my days real easy. But anyhow, thought I'd scout. I fished one little spot just east of us here. Did real well, did pretty well. Caught some nice trout, maybe 5. I think one of them may have been short, but all the rest were keepers. I didn't measure them, but they were nice. They were decent fish. Caught one little short red in the mix. This is the only spot I fished. I just wanted to scout the area. I think it's good enough that I might come down this way tomorrow as well. Actually, points beyond where I am today. You can't see it at all, but right behind it is here. There's a little island here. This is Sapp Island, S-A-P-P. And in front of us out there that you can see, that's Live Oak Key. I was over there, and I didn't really realize it, but the wind was atrocious when I was recording. I didn't think it was half bad, but when I rewatched it, it was terrible. I came over here to get out of the wind. I don't have a script, obviously. I'm just kind of impromptu speaking today. I thought I'd just come scouting and make a quick video and upload it for the heck of it. Tell a little bit about the local area again. We're not too creative with our names around here. This is Sapp Island, and right in front of us here, where you can kind of see the tide flowing, this is Sapp Gap. Nice little rhyme, but anyhow, we used to get a lot of oysters out of this gap. Used to. I don't think you could do very well there now. I'm not sure. I haven't actually looked there in a long time, but or a couple of years anyhow. But maybe the oysters have grown back up some. I don't know. But this gap used to produce just some of the nicest quality oysters you could imagine. Again, I'm not sure how many are in there now, but you'd have to do it'd probably be a lot of work with the oyster tongs or coming here on a really low, really super low tide. Anytime you have a negative tide, today the guys, I don't know, people call that a blowout tide. I don't know, where it comes from, but in my day, or back in the day when I was young, all the old timers, when the tide got super low, generally in the winter, on your cold winter mornings when you got north or northeast winds and it tends to push the tide out, and you have those negative tides, we call that a pickup tide, because that's when you can pick up oysters. And so on a good pickup tide, wouldn't be a bad idea to give this a look-see for some oysters. Not commercially, but I wouldn't mind coming in here sometime looking for just get a bucket or so to open for ourselves, for my family and my friends. But anyhow, again, the island out in front of you, I'm pretty sure you can see that. That's Live Oak Key. Hence, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a live oak tree on that easterly point there. Old tree was where the island gets its name, of course. The tree looks relatively healthy right now, but boy, the erosion has worked its way up to the roots, and so I'm not sure how long it's going to remain there, but who knows? Be there another 30, 40 years, who knows? But I've done a lot of fishing in this gap as well. Not today, I haven't tried, but it's a good little area for fish. It's deep right through here. It's a deep little area. And out in front of me and to the right, that's Corrigan's Reef. I spent a whole lot of my young life down here, a lot. Getting oysters. I'd come out with the old timers when I was really young, and then by the time I was a teenager, I had my own boat. I probably mentioned, well, I had several boats when I was young, but they all seemed to follow that same pattern. They were cypress skiffs built by my uncle and his friend. Had cypress planked, the bottom was cypress plank put together with copper or stainless steel nails. Usually had a little outboard on it, a little 20 or 25 horse outboard. It's what I kicked around here with for, gosh, forever when I was young. Didn't have these cool boats like this. Didn't have the money to do it. But that, well, again, boats like that, and that's the lifestyle back then. It wasn't terribly uncommon, you know, around Cedar Key. Heck, nobody had any money, you know, other than like a lot of small towns. You know, you got the top 5% of people have, you know, have much more than the other 95%. But it was a working community. It was a fishing, oystering community. It was. Today, the farm-raised clams have taken. I mean, the commercial industry here now is almost totally dominated by the farm-raised clams. And yes, I clammed before when I was young. Gosh, I started clamming in, I don't know, 97, 96 maybe. And I sold my clam lease in 2002 or 3. A clam lease is an area about 2 acres, a rectangular shape. Clams are bought. For years back in the day, they were bought by a group down in Southeast Florida. I think it was out of Fort Pierce. I can't remember. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I think it was in Fort Pierce, a group called Harbor Branch, that they'd get the baby clams. We call that nursery size, really tiny, about 3 or 4 millimeter in thickness. Clams are measured by their thickness, not by their diameter. And you could buy the clams, put them in the bags. They were grown in bags, much like a dive bag. Actually, exactly like a dive bag, laid out like rows of corn on the bottom and staked down with little PVC stakes. But I don't know. The clamming's another. There's a ton of information about clams if you're interested in that. But I clammed for 5-6 years. I don't know, something like that. Nice. Again, I sold my lease in 2003, maybe. I'm not even sure. I don't even remember how much I got paid for it, but whatever the amount was, I was happy about it that day, and today I am still just as happy. I had no interest in clams at all. I went into clamming with a good attitude, and I really wanted to do well at it, but you just can't do well if you don't love something a little. And I finally got out of it with the skin of my teeth. I don't think I lost money, but I didn't really make any either in the years that I was involved in clamming. Of course, with clams, I was doing other stuff, and that was in the early stages of my career, the job that I had, and I didn't have time back then to focus on the clams as much as maybe I should have. I don't know, but clams weren't for me. And again, if you're interested in clams, there's a ton of information you can read about online about them. But again, it's a huge industry here, and a lot of people make their livelihood off of it, and some of them do extremely well, and some of them, you know, like anything else, you know, you kind of get out of it what you put into it, and it wasn't for me. But anyway, it's enough about clams. I've always enjoyed the fishing much more, and you know, prior to the net ban of 1995, we did a lot of mullet fishing here around the local area for mullet. And I mentioned mullet, I think, in a previous video. Mullet never, the price of mullet from the fishermen received, seemed to never came up to match inflation. It was always low, you know, with the exception of the roe season in November, December. You'd have a solid month there, maybe a little more, where the mullet had the roe, and the female mullet as the yellow roe. Again, we call red roe. Yes, I know they're actually yellow, but the red roe mullet, that's when the price of mullet was much, much better, and a fisherman could do real well during that time. But other than that, mullet were a tough way to make a living, but it was fun. But I never really, I can't profess that I ever made a living mullet fishing. I really didn't. I went out with some of the old timers a lot. When I say old timers, I mostly mean my uncle Edgar Campbell. He passed away in 2000, but he liked to mullet fish, but for him it was more for fun. He would go get them and sell them occasionally, but it wasn't really his thing, and it didn't become mine either. Although I love to mullet fish today, I still love to take the cast net out, catch mullet, but not commercially. Again, just catch some to eat. We enjoy smoking them, frying them up. They're really good. But most of our net fishing prior to the net ban was pompano fishing. I definitely had a love for that. That required, you know, anyone can get a little. Back in the day, you know, could get a small boat, run the net off the back. It was called a bird dog. We still call them that. it's got a well in it. The boat, the engine's toward the front, allows it to jump up, and you can work out the back. And most of the boats you see launching today at the ramp, the larger ones, that Bird Dog is still the same style boat, just a little larger. That the guys clam out of, we mentioned earlier. But the mullet boat was a little different, but essentially the was laid out essentially the same. The clam boats are just bigger. That's essentially it. But pompano fishing was different. You had to have generally a larger boat with an inboard, because you had a net that you ran out the back, and that wouldn't work with an outboard, obviously. That'd kind of be in the way. But pompano was different. I really enjoyed that. That was done, you know, in the friends. Put in perspective for you. Mullet fishing, summer day, in the evening, you come back in these areas. You run the net out. When you run the net out, whether you're mullet fishing, pompano fishing, or what, but that's called a strike. I'm going to make a strike. I'm going to run the net out. That's what it means. But you're back in here in the back country and the mangroves, and you're running out with a mullet net. The mosquitoes are bad, or the sand gnats, and you're like, this sucks. You know, where pompano fishing was kind of like a vacation for mullet fishing. That's done farther offshore, not terribly far. You kind of parallel the coast, running. We ran north and south back in the day, so you had to cover a lot. You had to cover a lot of ground for pompano fishing. You were constantly moving. It was very, very active fishing. But we'll talk more about pompano fishing another time. I'll actually maybe make a special video. I obviously can't recreate it anymore because we can't do that anymore. It's not legal. But pompano were always much more valuable. You know, I remember back in 1992, 93, we were getting, you know, $4.50, $5.50 a pound for pompano right off the boat. So you could go catch, you know, 100 pounds of pompano. It's not a bad afternoon. Whereas mullet were, you know, with the exception of the roe season, the mullet were 35 cents a pound or something, 40 cents a pound, you know. So you didn't have to handle as many pompano, and of course, but it took a little more. I'm not going to say skill. It was just a different fishery. It was just different. But I really miss that. And forgive me if I get long-winded about some subjects, but growing up, I got a lot of oysters out of here, and but so did a lot of folks. I mean, I oystered a lot, but we have some old timers here that were masters. I mean, they were legends. I mean, throw out their names, but we have a few old timers here that did a lot of, man, they got way more oysters than me. I just done it to make extra money sometimes, but I still feel like I did a lot of it. And but today, again, just wanted to make a quick one. Sorry if I'm kind of rambling a little bit today. I hope you found some of it informative, but I could talk half the day. But if I make the video too long, for some reason I have a hard time loading them. But I'll make another one soon. I enjoyed you guys being with me today, and thanks for watching till the end. In my next video, I'll do my best to make it a little more topic focused instead of rambling around. Have a great day.